Hi everyone, welcome to another fantastic episode of Stars and Startups with me, Varun Gomidi. Today we have an interesting startup. They're called Fittr. We have the founder, Jitendra Chouksey, with us. Fittr is one of those platforms that everybody probably discovered through their networks, maybe on Facebook, because their subscribers or followers are extremely passionate about the brand, about the founder, Jitendra Chouksey, who's also called JC. They love all the stuff that they put out and understanding health, get guidance. They have 2 million plus customers or followers on this page. They don't have customers, but these are super engaged fans of Fittr. So welcome JC to the program. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for asking, and pleasure to be here.
Fantastic. I probably butchered, what you guys do in the first part of this segment. So, what is Fittr? Why don't you tell our audience?
Fittr is it's a community-based two-sided marketplace which allows people to get fit in an easy and hassle-free manner, with or without the help of a coach. So if you are somebody who's looking to shed some pounds, who's trying to maintain their lifestyle, somebody who's trying to get in the best shape of their life, or somebody who's trying to gain weight, you join Fittr, you become part of this community, like-minded folks, coaches, hundreds of thousands of recipes, articles, information, all available at your fingertips. That's what Fittr is all about.
The question that you probably get asked most often is, can vegetarians get shredded? What's your answer to that?
Well, look, I became a vegetarian just to prove this point, and I'm almost 5 to 6% body fat, and I started eating eggs back again today after a period of almost 1.5 years. So I was a vegetarian, and I got to the best shape of my life. So I've proved a point. You can be a vegetarian, vegan, doesn't matter. Anybody can get shredded.
Wasn't there like a Netflix series or movie that was created to prove this as well?
The Game Changers.
Game changers. Yes, I think they go out of the way also to show how being vegetarian you could actually perform at a better level or a higher level. What was your opinion on that movie? Because there was very different perspectives from around the world that came after that.
I don't have any such claims, because most of those claims are unsubstantiated. And personally, I don't have any problem with people's eating choices. The eating choices are not necessarily out of one's moral behavior. Sometimes they are also a part of their culture, part of who they are, and it does not make sense for anybody to point out what anybody else is eating, as long as it's done in an ethical and sustainable manner. And I think it should be driven by an individual. The choices should be driven by individuals, what they're eating, what they're not eating. I cannot imagine a world where we are forcing our choices on others just because we can, and just because we feel that we are more morally superior to somebody else. Shouldn't be done. That's not democracy.
But I think in a more base level, Indians do have a very high carbohydrate diet, which goes against some of the Western kind of philosophy of high protein means better muscles or faster muscles, and that's the only way to get fit and get full and perform at a certain level. So I think you're spot on. I think Indians were probably one of the first few cultures to also embrace bodybuilding and weightlifting. If you go back to some of the things that people were doing in the 30s and 40s as well, people were phenomenal bodybuilders back in the day, and I don't think there was that much focus on nutrition as much as it is today. So yeah, absolutely. You're a software engineer who ended up founding Fittr with some of your friends. What brought you from writing code to creating diet charts?
So, look, the first half of my life was pretty unfit. I was fat, and the second half of my life was trying to get rid of that fat, right? And the whole process was one big learning journey. And in 2013, we moved from IBM to this company Tieto here in Pune. So we had to shift cities from Bangalore to Pune. And in Bangalore, when I was working at IBM, although I was exercising, but I also picked up the weekend habits, which is smoking, drinking, and my fitness started taking a toll. Uh, so when I came here and I was going to become a father, I thought, look, I want to be a good role model for my daughter, my kid. And so I started getting back into fitness again. I dropped the bad habits and I dedicated myself completely to becoming a better version of me. And I started posting those pictures on social media. I also got covered by Men's Health, participated in a couple of competitions also. And I think a lot of people, after seeing how I was doing, they got curious. And I was doing it all along without any sort of drugs or those steroids. And people started asking me if I can help them. So I created a small WhatsApp group, and I think this was around 2013, 2014. I vaguely remember. And so I created this group and started helping these guys. So when they ask questions, naturally I tried to answer them to the best of my ability. And over a period of time, the more questions people asked, the more I answered. And at some point of time, it became so much that I thought, look, these are just generic questions. I should just compile all of this in one booklet. And so I wrote a book called Get Shredded, which was a condensed version of all the knowledge that I had acquired over the years, and which has helped me. And so I published this book online for free. And then it got downloaded by hundreds of thousands of people. And then a lot of people started coming back to me. So we created a community on Facebook, which is what it is today. And over a period of time, when a lot of people asked me if I could personally help them get fit, I figured that it's not just the information which is the problem; it's also that people need accountability. Because fitness is not just about knowing the right things; you have to apply them. An application of any knowledge or any skill, for that matter, is a matter of your behavior and habit forming. Because at the end of the day, if you know what you have to do, you have to do it, and doing that requires habit building and behavior, which can be changed or imparted through another personnel. Somebody who can be an inspiration, a guide, a mentor, a teacher. And we have had this concept of teachers right since the very start of the civilization, right? So we conceptualized a platform where people can easily find coaches if they're not able to do it by themselves. And then it will be also a great platform for coaches to acquire customers without worrying about building their profile and without worrying about the minutiae, the whole system. And yeah, so that's how we ended up founding Fittr. I collected some 5,000 rupees from initial co-founders, collected 90,000 rupees to develop a website, and we were an immediate hit. We launched in January of 2016. Yeah.
Okay. When did you transition from WhatsApp to Facebook? And what got you to say, hey, I'm going to move away from my job and then focus on Fittr? And, because that's a huge step in itself.
Right. So Fittr, okay, the WhatsApp group I vaguely remember was formed in 2013 or 14. Again, like things happened so fast that it's not possible to remember exactly everything. I think the Fittr page was also formed in 2013 or 14. Facebook group was formed in May of 2015. May of 2015. The group was formed in 2015. Before that, it was just a page. And so I think the whole transition from WhatsApp to Facebook group also happened around the same time. I used
Was
to
there a
manually.
strategy for that?
No, nothing. It was like one thing led to another. I mean, at that point of time, there was no concept like this which existed. So I didn't even know if this idea would work or not. But I had a strong feeling, considering how many people were coming out to me, reaching out to me for help. It just was the right thing to do at that point of time. I could have trained all those people, but then that would have been very selfish because I would have been able to charge them like high amounts of money, and I would have been able to help like 100, 200, or 500 odd people. But I just felt that that was not the right thing to do, and I saw an opportunity to also create jobs in the industry, things which would be much bigger than my own personal interest. So that was the right thing to do.
I started going to the gym when I was 16 years old, or probably earlier. And this is back in 2003, 4. From that time, I've seen, even the coaches and the kind of people in the industry changed drastically. The kind of people who are now taking this as a job and treating this as something that they want to do for their livelihood has also changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you think this transition has happened?
The transition happens in any industry, and I think the deeper and the bigger the problem becomes, the solutions are often touted as groundbreaking, or they tend to add a lot of uh, honor and dignity as you move forward. And I think, considering how many people have been struggling with lifestyle issues today, that number stands at north of 2.2 billion people. And lifestyle diseases have lifestyle in front of them, right? So you fix your lifestyle, and lifestyle diseases can be managed, or you can just completely reverse them, as evidenced by many studies, many cases, right? So if you are fixing somebody's lifestyle, you're not just fixing their lifestyle, you're helping them get rid of their lifestyle issues. It's like giving them a new life. And I think when you do something like that to somebody, they tend to have natural respect towards you, your profession. And I think companies like ours has also been instrumental in bringing that glamour factor to fitness coaching, because our coaches are highly paid, and an average fitter coach makes about 6 times the industry standard. And uh, it was not like an accident, it was by design. We always wanted our coaches to become evangelists, so that more and more people can become part of the fitness industry, because the problem cannot be solved by 1% or 100 people or 500 people. We are probably looking at millions of personal coaches helping billions of people fix their lifestyle problems. We have about 500 coaches right now. Let's see if we can reach out to a 5 to 10,000 number in the next three years.
But I first discovered squats, which has now become Fittr, in around that phase, 2016, 17. And your Facebook groups were extremely active. I would get notifications of people posting, and that would always come up on my feed. What I've realized also is Fittr has migrated a lot of their. I mean, of course, Facebook still continues and people continue to post, but you've taken that experience to your mobile application, right? Now, as I understand it, Facebook has become very hard and challenging to manage as well, because even to get your own audience, they want you to pay for it, right? You're paying a toll to reach your own audience. So a lot of founders choose to move their users to their own platform. In this case, a Fittr app, where they're able to control the whole experience, give them a lot more things to do apart from the community itself. Was that a driving factor in kind of creating the mobile application and now servicing your clients through that app?
uh, Today social media has diversified, and there's not just one prominent company. And of course, most of them are owned by Facebook, but you have Twitter, you have Instagram, you have Facebook, you have LinkedIn, you also have now Clubhouse, we also have Quora, and a lot of social media platforms are coming up. And at some point of time, we'll see more and more social media platforms, which means more and more touch points where you can connect with your customers. And at that point of time, Facebook was the dominant touch point. It was doing great, but over a period of time, we realized the need for diversifying. If people were connecting with us on different platforms, they shouldn't be missing out just because they're not on Facebook. And that was the idea. We said, look, what is the experience that people are enjoying in this community? Let's just try to replicate that same kind of experience on the app. The same thing, we saw what people were doing on Instagram, and we said, look, let's try to replicate some sort of similar experience here. And the discussion forums, it was like a very common theme, because that's what everywhere is the most common theme. People discuss, people ask questions, and people answer. So one of the best ways to engage people is allowing them to have discussions on different subjects. So Fittr app was basically a natural transition, and it also is a standalone touch point. Like, there are some people who are not on social media, so there was also a huge demand in the community that you guys should create something, because I don't want to be a part of Facebook. And of course, at that point of time, Facebook was not able to manage the communities as effectively, and it was a lot more negative compared to what it is now, right? And people just didn't like social media. And a lot of people were offboarding Facebook, and they said we got to have our own platform, and that's why we created a Fittr app.
it's a negative place. Facebook and especially like Twitter followers, they share their images, their before after, right? They're sharing their
Yeah,
progress, and
yeah,
it's very hard to moderate because there are trolls everywhere, and it
yeah,
can become quite
yeah.
nasty.
In case of Fittr, look, we have community guidelines, and on Fittr, anybody can report anything, and if it does not
Mm,
comply with the community guidelines, we simply delete it. And we are very hands-on when it comes to deactivating fake accounts. So on
mm,
Fittr, it's
mm,
first of all, it's now it's almost impossible to create a fake account because it's linked with a unique phone number.
mm,
Secondly, it only allows two device login, which means that you can either be logged in on a mobile or a laptop or both of
mm,
them, but there
mm,
cannot be a third device, right? Which means that people cannot run bots. Apart from that, we have community managers right from the beginning, uh, and this was not a feature which was there in Facebook. Like the concept of community managers is like we used to
mm.
do it manually, right? So I think just having those options right from the beginning, setting the right kind of culture, helped us, and mitigating any sort of negativity on the Fitter app.
So you assign some coaches to then also help out with moderation, and how did you go about that process?
No, we have community managers
Okay.
who are on payroll, and they keep a check on all the posts and fake users or what people are
Mm.
posting.
One of the things that are very popular in the Fitter app, and I think it drives extreme amount of engagement, is your transformation challenges. And I think you
Right.
give away some massive prizes to be part of the transformation challenge, post progress, motivate. It's a self intrinsic motivation also because you're committing to that challenge. So, what is the genesis of transformation challenge, and what have been some of the learnings?
Look, so humans exhibit some basic behaviors, and it's the understanding. The whole evolution of Twitter is based around understanding, the user psyche, and it's all about because we are trying to bring a behavioral change in people, and it can't happen unless until we understand the de facto, right? So we understood that people are not just looking for intrinsic motivation; they are also looking for extrinsic motivation. And while some people are driven by their own intrinsic motivation and they have their own needs and desires, there are some people who can be pushed over if they are like sitting on the fence contemplating a little bit of reward recognition can then you can just push them over and they become part of the challenge. And sometimes it's like if I mean you would have noticed that in your friend circle itself, you and your friends, you tell them, hey, why don't you do something? He'd probably not do it because there's nothing. But the minute you tell them, "Ki, I challenge you to do 10," the guy's gonna give it all because it's all we all suffer from this inferiority complex. We are always trying to find our identity. We are always trying to fit in. We are always looking for some sort of belongingness, right? So these are some basic traits which are commonly exhibited by all human beings, irrespective of what stage they are in their lives. So just understanding these triggers, understanding
Mm.
what are these triggers which can propel people to behave or take certain steps. The key here is instead of forcing them into getting into something negative or forcing them to overeat, just like many of the food companies do, we are using the same triggers to propel them into the direction of health and fitness.
What have been some of the learnings and insights that you can share from, say, your first TC challenge to now the latest ones? How has that evolved?
I think people definitely want recognition over everything. Right. So in the initial few transformation challenges, it was just the winners take it all, and of course the winners used to get a lot of recognition, but the people who are in the backdrop, they also needed some sort of recognition. They said, "Look, at least we completed." And we used to think, "Yeah, you just competed, but you didn't come in top 50, top 10." But the fact is, they competed in itself is a big achievement for them, and rightly so. So I think we have changed that, and we have tried to acknowledge everybody who's participating. So that has changed definitely. And it's not about large victories. Sometimes people are driven by smaller victories. So instead of forcing everybody to come out on top, we are celebrating everybody who's doing something. So I think that has definitely changed. we have mellowed down our cutthroat kind of approach. We are more people sensitive. We are now more understanding of the behavior displayed by people in a specific manner, owing to their own personal experiences and backgrounds. So, it's just subtleties and nuances of running a business for long enough. You start understanding your consumers better. That's all.
Has this enabled you to engage your subscribers or users more, or has it also enabled you, or was this to drive more users to participate and engage with the application, which would result in, guessing, top of the funnel, right? In business terms, where you're driving more users to coming to Fittr. How has this helped, and what was the objective?
No, definitely, and every time we do some sort of an activity, it definitely propels the users to download the app, participate in transformation challenges, and overall, I think that it generates a lot of goodwill for the company when users win or they get fit, because one fit guy has the potential to impact lives of hundreds of other unfit people around them. And I think that is one of the biggest centerpiece today. Fair focuses on results, because we believe that, look, everything aside, if you meet your friend after, let's say, 6 months, 8 months, and you see a drastic change in his physique, you're not gonna look at his C-reactive protein or health markers. You're just gonna look at him, how he's looking physically. Is his skin looking better? Is he looking more fitter? Is his hair looking better? And then you'll ask him, dude, kya kar raha hai? What are you doing? The natural tendency is to understand how this guy, lost 10 pounds or became more muscular, more fitter. And becoming more fitter and muscular also has to do with, your improved lifestyle. And the more fit you get, you are also more happier. You enjoy life better. You don't have complaints. You don't have ailments. You reduce medical bills. In fact, there was a study which came out, and it said it ranked people on the basis of, like, what are some of the important markers which propel towards a happy behavior. Fitness was, I think, one or two. So it was either money and fitness. So the more fit you are, the more financially fit you are. These things definitely have very large indicators of how happy you can be as a person, right? So fitness was right on top. And so you want to do that. You want to replicate what your friend did, and I think it creates sort of a network effect. And I think, which is what has worked in case of Fittr. It's like, you sit and watch from the fence till one of your friend becomes fit, and then suddenly you are interested in Fittr. Then you are like, no, man, I thought these guys are fake. I thought these guys were like, posting all these
Doing
Photoshop
drugs.
transformation pictures. Yeah, doing drugs. But now this guy is my neighbor. He's my friend. I know he's done it, so they must be true. And that's
So
how it has happened in the last 5 years.
that's pretty motivating, right? Because then you're seeing someone that in
Yeah,
your first or second degree, 1 degree of separation, who has
yeah,
been able to make that change. And when it's the more drastic it is, the more you believe that
yeah,
you can make part of that change.
yeah, yeah,
One thing I've noticed
yeah,
also on some of these posts of transformations that people post is how the community itself also eggs them on. Uh, they're very,
yeah,
they're
yeah,
saying,
yeah,
"Hey, great job, keep it up, keep
yeah,
going,"
yeah,
and that is also motivation. This random person is actually, happy for me, and I thought that was very
yeah.
interesting kind of dynamic. Was that a surprise to you as well?
No, it wasn't a surprise. Look, I think one of the things that I'm good at is understanding people behavior, and that's where I come in. Right? That's where I bring my expertise. I think, and this is all because of my own personal background, the way I have evolved, the way my thinking has evolved. I think everybody seeks belongingness. Everybody wants to feel good. Be it even monks, they also want to showcase how good they are. Everybody wants to display their skills. There's nobody who just wants to, live in an isolated world, because we are social animals. At the core of it, we are social animals. We want to be a part of something. And when somebody acknowledges what we are doing, it just feels amazing. Like that's a feeling that nothing can buy. No money, no possession can replace that feeling of being recognized and being thanked for something. And I first experienced it when I started helping people on that WhatsApp group, right? And I was like, dude, this is amazing. I'm helping these guys for free, but the way they are thanking me is just priceless, right? And that's when I realized that this is what I want in my life. This is what I want, more of it. And I think this is what people also want. They don't just want money; they want respect.
Mm.
And the thing with respect is they have to earn it, and so they have to
Yeah.
do something which other people are not doing for other people to recognize. Oh shit! Look, this guy has done it. He earns my respect. And if you look at everything else that humans are doing, they earn more money, not because money is more money is better. I mean, uh, probably $1 million are as good as $2 million. It's just that you can buy more stuff with it. But the reason why people earn $2 million or $200 million is because they think more money is going to bring them more respect. The reason why people do so much good is because they think that's going to bring them more respect, or they feel more valuable about themselves, right? Because it is my life. I want to make the best out of it. And we have assigned certain meanings that this, if I do in my life, is going to make my life more meaningful compared to if I'm just sitting and not doing anything, right? So different people assign meanings, and over a period of time, the meanings evolve. I mean, it's a much deeper concept. Let's not go there. But the core of the message that I'm trying to convey here is that everybody wants to belong somewhere. We all have these deep rooted insecurities about how good we actually are. And when then we do something and somebody says you're amazing, you're doing
Mm.
great work, I think that makes your day, and you just want to do that again and again and more and more. That's what
No,
this
love it.
community does for you.
Love it. Love it. I mean, it's again kind of goes back to the core of who we are as people, right? I think that's what you're saying.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I think it's also aspirational in a way, right? You see someone doing something well, uh, and you want to feel part of the community. And one thing I've noticed with at least some communities that come together for a specific purpose, and not just like any random community, is that
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
want everybody to succeed, right? They want everybody to succeed around
Yeah.
them, and I think that's
Yeah.
a very important aspect of this. So one of the things about success on Twitter that I've noticed is that a lot of the clients become coaches. They kind of go on to also want to do more of that, and help more people, and also take this as a
Yeah.
career. Um,
Yeah.
how how do what percentage of your coaches are actually clients who've kind of like switched to the other side, and how do you guys go about it to transition them from there to becoming a coach?
All right. So this number has evolved over a period of time. Currently, it's about 60%. So 60% of all of our coaches were actually our customers at one point of time.
Wow.
And I think in future, this number is going to be even bigger and bigger because we have trained about 10,000 plus scholars through INFS in the last 5 years.
What is
The
INFS for those who don't know?
As the subsidiary company of Fittr, which trains the coaches, as stands for Institute of Nutrition and Fitness Sciences. The idea was always this: that look, we can always outsource good coaches, but they will not display the same values of this community. Probably they will fail as good people. They will probably excel as good coaches, but the whole um, aspect of being a coach itself has changed. The meaning has changed. You're not training Olympians or highly driven, highly motivated individuals. You're
Mm,
training people with regular issues.
yeah.
And sometimes to get these regular people out of their regular issues, you don't need a coach Carter. You need somebody who's been there, done that. Somebody who was once as timid, who was once as unfit, who was once just like you. And there's a saying that you can learn more from somebody who's 2 years ahead of you instead of learning from somebody who was 20 years ahead of you, because the 20 years guy who's ahead of you, he probably does not even recall what it is like to be in your shoes. The guy who is 2 years ahead of you remembers exactly how it feels to be you. And sometimes that's what makes the whole difference.
These coaches sometimes end up bringing biases as well, right? Because of course it's from a learned experience, their own experience, right? How does INFS or Fittr kind of help them get over that? And because, like you said, being a being having a great body doesn't mean you're going to be able to be a good teacher or a good
Yeah,
coach to get to the
yeah,
other side, or inspire the other person. How do you
yeah.
bridge that?
No, look, INFS has also evolved. When we started INFS, it was all about imparting the right kind of education, right? Our focus was primarily on education. We were only talking about scientific information. But over
Yeah.
a period of time, we realized that look, people don't care about science. They don't worry about Krebs cycle, or they don't worry about your muscle protein synthesis. They just want to lose some pounds, and you are not also going to talk to these guys these complex terms on a daily basis, nor are you training 19-year-old guys into bodybuilding. You're talking to probably a 40 years something, who's tired, who's coming
Yeah.
back from his work. He is trying to put food on the table. He does not have time to listen to your complexity of the science, and you're explaining all that. You said, like, let's break it down. So the first thing that you need to understand as a coach is that you have to be extremely caring and compassionate and simplify. So all these things then we started including in INFS based on the feedback, how the customers were rating the customers, the coach NPS, based on whether people would recommend these coaches to their friends and family, understanding, calling the customers again and again. And we do this exercise every month. We call at least a sample size of 600 to 1,000 customers every month, a random pool, and we ask them how we are doing as a company, how this coach is doing, and what are some of the feedbacks. And when there are feedbacks which come from behavioral
Mm.
problems, or if it's a technical problem, we either send it back to the product team, we either send it back to the INFS team, and based on those feedbacks, we keep improving. Some of the things which are not immediately available in the INFS course, we include them in the induction. So nobody can
Okay.
become a coach going through INFS without going through mandatory live trainings
Mm.
and without going through the induction process. It's a complex process. Nobody can just become a Fittr coach uh,
Okay.
just like this. Like it's a very detailed and thorough process. And our NPS is 75, or CSAT is roughly 90, and our package completion is 88 with less than 4% refunds. So we are
Wow.
at par or even better than some of the international standards. So.
I don't think you even need to get into some of those metrics. If you just, if somebody just looked at some of the groups and posts on Twitter, I think will immediately I know that this is community that's very strong, and people are getting some real value from it, right? Not just the coaches, the way they talk about the coaches as well. I was very impressed to see what kind of folks giving reviews for their coaches, and writing about,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
giving them a testimonial, and that's massive.
yeah.
JC, you have been extremely vocal about a lot of topics, and you've also shared uh, even your revenue numbers publicly on Facebook. You're a private company, right? And you're a cash minting machine. You the last year was 100 crores, 200 crores of gross revenue, or I'm probably far off.
No, so we crossed 2021 at a 9.3 to 9.5. Again, the audited numbers haven't come out, which was about 80% growth from 2019 2020. Yeah, so that roughly translates to about 70 crores, and that's not our revenue. That's actually gross sales.
That's
Revenue
gross
is
sales.
once you take
Yeah,
out the gross sales. Yeah.
absolutely. So
So
that means,
cumulative, sorry, the number you must have read somewhere is a cumulative 5-year number that some article came out. Like we crossed
oh,
100
okay.
crores. That was cumulative since the inception. Yeah.
No, I mean, that means you found your product market fit, that people talk in the tech space. As a startup,
Yeah.
you're talking about achieving product market fit, knowing your customers. You basically gone past a lot of these things, right? And that's reflective in the sales, or what you're being able to ask from your subscribers. In this world, become a part of an accelerator program, and most famously, you've gotten admit to the most prestigious accelerator in the world, Y-Combinator, and you also decided not to do that. What is the thought behind not taking Y-Combinator and then choosing a few months later going to Sequoia's search program? Yeah, so there are two questions on that. One, you're already you know uh, the owner of a thriving business, a startup, but you chose to want to be a part of an accelerator. So yeah, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Right. Look, when you're doing businesses, and it's not always rosy. There are ups and downs in any business, and at some point of time, you feel like you don't know enough. And I've always felt that about, and I've always had this craving for learning, and most of my earnings are spent in me learning different things, new things, right? And I always feel that I lack the know-how to do things, and probably it's because of my past background or whatever. But I just want to learn a lot of things, and I just felt that despite doing that, $4-5 million of revenue yearly, I just didn't know enough. And the reason for me selecting Y Combinator was exactly this: that maybe I'll go and I'll learn from these guys who have built world class companies and
Mm.
several unicorns. And so I went there. The first couple of weeks were good. We had a chance to interact with the founders of Airbnb, Rediff, so many others, and it was amazing. But over a period of time, I think it just didn't fulfill my expectation, because when I went there, the purpose was learning and not just how you can pitch your company to VCs. And that's when I started developing a distaste towards what was happening, and I decided to quit. And
Oh
Sequoia
wow.
Surge
Okay.
was
Yeah.
yeah, Sequoia Surge was amazing. It was all about learning, learning, learning. We learned a lot in Sequoia Surge, and it was exactly the opposite of what happened in Y Combinator. I think today, even if Sequoia didn't give us that $2 million, the learning was every uh, every minute of learning was worth it. It's amazing. It was just crazy, and the fact that they knew so much about founders is just crazy. The first session with Shailendra itself blew my mind. It's just crazy. It was a blessing, and after that, we didn't look back. And the best thing is that Sequoia Search team is so amazing and mature. Like I don't have enough words to praise Rajan. That they've never interfered in what we do. They've always been supportive. I'm just a call away. If I call up Rajan and tell him that Rajan, I need something, such a hands-on guy. Like, I have not enough words to praise these guys. Amazing. Y Combinator, on the other hand, the team wasn't that uh, approachable, and they were very what do you call, knuckleheads. Probably because they were handling, yeah, they were
Yeah.
handling too many people. There's
Yeah.
around 200 plus startups, about 400 people. Too much. I can imagine the kind of pressure they must be in. And Surge, on the other hand, was bliss. It was amazing.
No, I think that this is a great, this is a testimonial for what they're doing as well. And of course, one of the
Yeah.
first few programs to start in India at that scale. So they've already, got a bit of reputation. So I'm sure they'll probably use this clip to show other founders what they've been up to. So JC, I'm sure you're a shining example. Uh, just kind of throwback to your writing your get shredded days, right? The first PDF that you put out. Do you continue updating it yourself, or who does that? And does it still go out to your participants? And I'm sure it's still free, right? It's still free to download and view.
Yeah, it's still free. The team keeps on making updates, adjustments. I've been busy writing a book, and the book is going to come probably by July mid or July end. So it's much more thorough, about 200 pages. But yeah, Get Shredded is always going to be free.
How are you thinking about Fittr going forward?
The plans are to keep growing, probably at a much faster pace than we have in the last couple of years. Now that we have investors, now that we have enough money, now that we have much more knowledgeable experts, and I'm not the only one who's driving this company. There's a lot of amazing people who are industry experts, who are technical experts in their domain. A lot of things have improved over a period of time. In the last 1.5 years, the kind of improvements we have done is crazy. Like, people underestimate what they can do when they have the right sort of team in place. And of course, we did good from bringing the company to 0 to 1, but we knew that we'd never be able to scale the company from 1 to 10 without getting the right sort of people on board and funding. we definitely managed to get the right people who understand technology better than us, who understand communities better than us. So it's all about sitting and watching how the experts are doing their jobs and filling in, making sure that the culture stays the same, making sure that the core values do not change. And that's all primarily the focus is at, making sure that the soul is preserved, while everything around it keeps getting better and better.
JC, wish you guys the best of luck, and continued success and growth from here on. Thanks for joining on the show.